You might hear the objection, I don't know any people. The reality is what they usually mean is, I don't know any people that I think will be interested. And so what I want to let that person know is, look, you do know people, and everyone you know knows someone you don't know. We're going to teach you how to introduce your business to people, and worst case scenario, if they're not interested, they're going to refer you to other people, and we're going to show you how to build a client base, build a referral base as soon as you get started. When you're in the field, you may get the objection, I can't afford the cost of life insurance. And what I want to help them understand is they can't afford not to have life insurance. And so what you want to help them understand is how important it is that they're properly protected, so that if something should happen, the family's going to be taken care of. And so understand that may be a stall tactic or just something for them to delay making a decision. And what you need to do is stress the importance to them of being properly protected so that the family that they love will be provided for in the event something happens.
Oftentimes you'll hear the objection, $99, I just don't have the money, I don't have any money. When you hear that, again, we know that price is only an issue in the absence of value. When someone tells me that, all I will say to them is, look, I understand your money might be tight right now, just off the top of your head, you don't think you can come up with $99, but let me ask you this. If I was able to get you into a brand new car and all it cost for you today was $99, would you be able to come up with the $99? Absolutely they would. If your kids were held hostage, it was $99 for them to be free, what would you tell the kidnapper? Just don't have any money? Absolutely not. You come up with that $99. Well, guess what? This business is a life-changing opportunity. Let's sit down, let's go over some more details. Let me show you all the value that that $99 will bring to you and your family. I'll also talk to you about how soon we can put you in our reimbursement program so you can go and earn that $99 back and a whole lot more. I think once we sit down and take a look at everything, you'll be able to find a way to come up with the $99 because you'll see the value that it has for you and your family. Sometimes you'll hear the objection, one of the top ones you'll hear is, this sounds like a pyramid. Is this a pyramid? Well, once again, the answer is absolutely not. We're a highly regulated company in a highly regulated industry. It's illegal to operate a pyramid in the state or even through federal laws that we deal with. So absolutely not, it's not a pyramid. What we do is give people a chance to start their businesses, and many companies, the way they hire people or bring people in to go to work, they put them through all sorts of tests and they try to decide on paper who qualifies and who don't. With Primerica, we give everybody who's eligible to go to work an opportunity to come in, and you get a chance to build your business as big or as little as you want to build it. And yes, you have a chance to expand your business by giving other people the same business opportunity that you have, do something great. But we don't make any money when people join. It is absolutely not a pyramid. Hey, sometimes when you're in the field, you may hear the objection, I already have insurance on my job. Why do I need more insurance? Well, I always tell people, I'm glad you have insurance on your job and you need to keep that, but you don't own that insurance. That insurance is owned by your company. Many times it's not convertible. Most of the time you can't take it with you. And if you end up leaving that job or that job leaves you, you're uninsurable. It may happen at a time when you're uninsurable and you can't qualify for personal insurance. The other thing is the insurance you have on the job is usually inadequate and doesn't have the amount of coverage that you need for you and your family. So it's always important to have your personal insurance that you own each and every time, and the best place to get it is Primerica. Sometimes you'll hear the objection when you're in the field, do you have a website? When you hear do you have a website, what they're really saying is I need more information, or it could just be a stall or delay tactic. When people ask you that question, say absolutely, we have an incredible website at Primerica.com. But I can tell what you want is more information. So what I'd like to do, just sit down with you for a few minutes at a coffee shop, have you come by my office so we can talk a few minutes, maybe have you sit through one of our overview sessions so you can get more information, because I know when you look at the website, you'll have questions, and I want to be able to answer those questions for you one-on-one. Sometimes you'll hear the objection, can you tell me more? Absolutely, I can tell you more, but it's kind of like giving a haircut over the phone. To give you the right information, this is really a one-on-one business. For you to really be able to understand the things I need to show you, we need to sit down. So as opposed to just giving you a lot of information on the phone and you still just have a lot of questions in the phone or standing up one-on-one, let's take time to sit down, spend a few minutes so I can show you how the business works, give you some visuals on how the business works, and answer all of your questions. And that's what you really want, isn't it? To get all of your questions answered so you can make that decision and see that this is an incredible business opportunity for you and your family.
You're gonna get this objection a lot. Hey, you know what? I just don't have the money to get started. So I would tell that person, listen, have you ever been in a situation where you really wanted something but you didn't have the money at the time, and you ended up getting the money right away and getting what you wanted? So it's a matter of value, right? So if I could show you enough value, I'm talking about value that would be important to you, would you be able to find the money?
You may hear the objection, well, I know somebody who did Primerica and it didn't work, right? I think the thing you have to do is ask them, did that person get licensed, or did they make money or become a vice president? And I guess the thing that's important to you is, do they have what you want? Is their lifestyle what you want? Because if not, let me introduce you to my vice president who actually owns their business, because that's something that you really want, isn't it? Where you're working now, you're not going to own the business. With Primerica, we have an actual ownership program. So people may ask you, well, I want to do my own research. Great. Where do you work now? Oh, okay. It's not a New York Stock Exchange company? Okay, well, Primerica is a New York Stock Exchange company, so just make sure you do your research, right, and look up, a legitimate source.
One of the objections that you also get across the kitchen table, or maybe if you did a one-on-one interview, you'll hear somebody tell you, you know what, my partner is never going to go for this. They're negative, this isn't for them. And you immediately, that's the first person that you need to go sit down with. And you've got to be prepared and understand where that partner might be at. Maybe they know somebody in the business, maybe they've always been maybe not a supportive partner, but you've got to make sure that you tell the recruit, look, that person is the most important person, because at the end of the night, you've got to go home to your partner. You're not going home to me, you're going home to your family. And so as a field trainer, as a leader, you want to make sure that that one first appointment with the partner is a great appointment, and you're not there to sell them anything. You're not there to make sure their family's protected. You're there to share with them how their life can change, how the life that they've been living up to this point it doesn't have to change dramatically, but just incrementally, and get that partner support, because without the support, it really is tough to do this business on your own. Is it doable? Absolutely. And agents, go out and have some success so you can show your partner the success of Primerica. Even though they might not believe in you right now, they're just waiting for you to have just a little glimpse of success, whether it means getting your 3x3, your bonus out of the way, or getting a promotion. You're going to get that partner's respect and your partner's commitment to the business by doing great things here at Primerica. When you're out in the field, you're going to hear this objection, and someone's going to say, hey, well, I'm not good at selling. And what you got to make sure is that they understand is that sales, yes, is part of the process, but when you sit down with the family and you help them get their needs met, it's just part of the process. So look, you don't have to be a great salesperson in order to do the business, nor do you even have to be a great salesperson across the kitchen table. It's a learning process. So is this sales? Yes, it is sales, but you don't have to be great at it. But help people overcome their fear by letting them know, look, what I just did with you right now, did that feel like sales? And they're going to really think about it and say, no, actually it was a very smooth transition. So when people give me that objection, like, I can't do it, I'm not good, I'm not into sales, I tell them, great, then you'll work out perfect for this business. Are you willing to learn? And if they say yes, so then you move forward. But you got to help them overcome their fears and let them know that they're not going to be a door-to-door salesperson. They're going to learn the process of what we do at Primerica and how we help families, and sales will transpire through those actions. But they don't have to be a good salesperson to get involved with you.
Another common objection that you might get out in the field is, I have to talk to my friends and family about this. You know what you do? You agree. I agree, this information is very important that you need to share with your friends and family. But let's think about this. Who's gonna do a better job of presenting the opportunity? You or myself? And they're always gonna say, no, I think you will. Perfect. How fast can you put me in front of them? Here's a common objection you might get out there when you're talking about the auto and home. Some people say, I'm okay, I already have auto insurance. You say, great. You know what? Let's do a quick call just to find out you have the best. Look, it doesn't hurt. What if you do? What if you do have the best? Now you have peace of mind that you have the best. But what if we can save you some money? Wouldn't that help you out? Another thing that I do when I'm training people, and they tell me, I already have auto insurance. I said, that's fine. You're still helping out Johnny here with his training. He just needs to learn how to give auto insurance quotes. We just get on the phone, and that's how he gets help. And it helps him with his training. And guess what? Worst case scenario, you don't save no money, but now you know you have the best. But what if you do? Let's give it a call.
Sometimes when you're in the field, you might hear the objection that says, hey, look, I'm not gonna die. I'm young. It'll never happen to me. The way that you overcome this objection is pretty simple. You gotta ask them point blank. So have you ever heard or seen anybody that's ever passed away? Have you ever known of anybody to pass away? How about in the world, has there ever been a person under the age of 50 or under the age of 40 or under the age of 30 that has passed away? And of course, see, when they give you the answer to that question, because you know what the answer is going to be, it's going to be yes. You have to come back and say, well, fantastic. Then I think we're on the same page. You and I both know that we don't know what could happen tomorrow. God forbid something happens to us. Do you want your family to have the proper amount of coverage to keep their lifestyle the same? And of course, they're going to say yes. So it's not about that you don't think you're going to die. It's just you really probably don't feel like you want to purchase the life insurance right now. So how about we do this? Let's get you medically qualified. Let's put a program together for you so that we can help you and your family get the proper protection that you need. Sometimes you might be in the field and recruiting somebody and they say, well, is this commission or is it salary? What I would do in that situation, I'd simply ask them, what do you like more? Do you like commission or do you like salary? And of course, they're going to give you their answer. Most people tend to say, I like a salary. And I say, fantastic. Let me ask you this. If you make a salary, are you limited on your income? Are you limited to the amount of money and the amount of freedom that you could build in your life? And of course, they're going to say, well, yeah, I am. So do you want to have more opportunity or less opportunity? And when they answer that question, then that's going to allow you to know how to guide the conversation from there. Most people are going to say, yes, I want more opportunity. How about we do this? Just going to ask you a couple of background questions and then we'll go from there. Does that sound fair?
Sometimes you'll have people say to you, hey, can you email me something? Or can you send me some information or send me some literature? Yeah, I could do that, but what I found is that's not going to answer your questions. You know, I've been doing this business since 1987, and since that time I joined the business, I have never emailed anybody anything, and I've never mailed anybody something. See, what you really need to ask yourself is, if I could prove to you what we do makes sense, and if I could prove to you what we do is good for people, would you be interested in take action and come on board with us? So if that's the case, then what you need to do is you need to get some answers to some questions. So why don't I do this? Because if I just send you a bunch of information, I can keep you busy reading literature for 10 years. Well, how about if I do this? Instead of me mailing you some information, why don't I bring it by? Why don't you and I sit down personally? This way, if you have any questions on it, while I'm there, I've got some experience. I'll answer those questions for you. Because if you're really interested in taking the next step, let me gather some information from you. You gather some information from me. See if there's a mutual interest, and we'll talk to you about what you need to do to get started. Sometimes people will say, well, I can't sell. And I'll never forget when I first looked at Primerica, that's the first thing I thought, I can't sell. And so, because I'm not a salesperson, I never sold anything before, okay? And so I understand that part that people have, that fear about selling, because they're gonna get some rejection. And so when someone says to me, I can't sell, think about life though. Life is sales. Every time two people get together, somebody's buying, somebody's selling. People that are married, You don't think that's sales? You got to sell that person on why they need to spend the rest of their life with you. Think about it. Every time you get together with someone, my wife and I went to the movies the other night. I said, hey, baby, let's go to the movies. She goes, okay, I want to see this. I said, no, I want to see this. I want to see some like action bang 'em up movie. She wants to see some chick flick, right? So we get together. Let's go out and have dinner. What do you feel like having? I want Chinese food. I want Italian food. And someone's selling. And sometimes when you're selling, you're given references of why you should go there. See, our business is not a sales process. A sales process is if I have to sell you something, I have to figure out how to give you a product and get money out of you. What we're doing is we're adding value. What do? We're not in a sales business. We're in an education business. We educate people on who we are and what we do, and more importantly, what they need. See, there's a huge difference between what people want and what people need. See, everybody wants a better car. Everybody wants a nice house, but you don't really need one. Let me tell you what I think people need. I think people need financial security. I think people need to protect their assets. I think people need to get a better rate of return. I think people need to become financially independent, because if you're not financially independent, you're financially dependent. See, what I think people need is people don't need to be sold something, people need to be educated. Folks, we take basic financial concepts and we bring it to Main Street. What do we sell? We sell financial peace. We sell financial education. And that's what people need. Sometimes you get an objection from somebody when you're talking to them about income protection. They say, oh, I already have insurance at work. And when I hear that, I always go, well, that's awesome. Do you pay for it? And what you'll find is a lot of times people don't pay for the extra insurance they have at work. And companies can give you up to $50,000 of insurance where they can deduct that as what they're giving you as a benefit at work. Over and above that, they can't usually deduct it. So let's just say a person has coverage at work. What I always do is do a financial needs analysis, and what you're gonna find are people need larger face amounts than usually what they have at work. I don't personally think that your company's gonna take care of you. I personally don't think that the government's gonna take care of you. When I look at our family, I wanna make sure that we protect and put in place everything that we need to do. So I would look at insurance at work as an extra. So let's put a game plan together where your personal family's protected based upon your personal life insurance, and anything extra from the company is extra. The second reason that people shouldn't just rely on insurance at work is, what if you left your job tomorrow? What if you decided to quit next week? What if you went to work on Monday and they laid you off? Most policies at work you cannot take with you. They can be converted to a cash value, which is a very expensive type of product that you don't need, or you have a group policy that you can't convert it over to an individual policy. So always look at insurance at work as an extra. Let's put together a program exactly for what you need and look at insurance at work as an extra. Hey, sometimes people will say to you, what is it? Or what do you do? And keep in mind, the reason somebody says to you, what is it? Or what do you do? And you have to have an answer to that, and I'll help you with that right now. The reason somebody says, what is it? Is because you provoke that. See, our business is learning how to do a few things. One is you gotta learn how to create interest. The second thing you gotta learn how to do is overcome objections. And then the third thing you have to learn to do is close. So by creating interest, overcoming objections, and closing, you're gonna take people through the process. So no one just comes up to you and says, what is it? I'm never walking down a street and all of a sudden some guy goes, hey, what is it? Or you're sitting at a football game and some guy yells out, hey, Keith, what is it? It depends in the situation you're in. Like if I'm sitting across the kitchen table doing a financial needs analysis and I try to create some interest to recruit someone over the kitchen table, they might say, well, what do you do? Like, what do you do on a daily basis, or what would I be doing if I came on board? I would say, hey, listen, some of the things I do is similar to what I just did with you. I would take you on board as a trainer, as a trainee, and you would come and witness a couple presentations, and I would have you learn and get licensed and get competent and learn what we do on a part-time basis until you felt comfortable doing it on your own. Sometimes you'll talk to somebody in a store or a restaurant, and maybe they've got a good personality, and you might say to them, hey, let me ask you a question. Are you totally satisfied with what you're doing right now? If I could show you how to maybe earn some additional income but keep your full-time job without taking risk, would you be interested? So I'm creating interest, right? Then they say, well, what is it? What do you do? You might say it's finance and asset management, or we're educating people on how money works, or I'm working with a company right now that's looking to take some people on board. So what is it is a different answer for a different situation. You know, sometimes you'll be at a party and you might talk to a friend, hey man, I just got involved in something I'm really excited about. Well, what is it? Oh, it's an opportunity for me to keep my job right now, earn some additional income, and eventually get out of my job. Or it's an opportunity for me to stay in school right now, but if I can learn how to make more money part-time than what I'm doing full-time, down the road I can make a career change. So what is it is an answer that you and I have to learn how to answer. When people say, what is it? Oh, it's not insurance, it's not financial services, it's not sales. You have to learn the answer to what is it, but what is it has to be answered based upon how you created interest with that person. So our job is to take people through the process, learn how to create interest, overcome objections, and close, and have people take a look at who we are and what we do. Sometimes people say to you, do you have a website? Yeah, we have a website, and if you're gonna gather information, make sure you get on the right website. You know, what I mean by that is, if you're gonna check out Primerica, go to Primerica.com. Look up PRI, which is our stock symbol when we took our company public. See, when I got involved in the business, I never heard of Primerica before. Sometimes people go, I've never heard of Primerica. I never heard of Primerica before I got involved in the business. Sometimes people go, I've never heard of you. And I always say, well, where do you work? I've never heard of you either. I'm only kidding. But what happens is you've got to take the time to understand everything. So when I say to people, you want to get on the website because you want to learn more about what we're doing, right? If you're going to learn about what we're doing, learn the whole process. It's like watching a football game. You can't watch 2 minutes of a football game or watching a boxing match. You can't watch 1 minute and see all the information. If you want to get on our website, get on our website and find out who we are and what we do. But more importantly, sit down with somebody individually and let them show you what we do. Sometimes people are going to say to you, well, I don't have the time. So when someone says I don't have the time, what I always say is I ask them a question. I say, well, how much time do you think you need? You know, I think what happens is we talk about being able to take people on board part-time, maybe keep their full-time career, or if someone's going to school or they have something that they're doing already, how can they subsidize their income? At least that's what I did. When I first looked at Primerica, I was a plumber and I taught a karate school. I was working 70, 80 hours a week. So the first thing I thought to myself was, well, I don't have the time for this, because I reflected back to when I worked part-time. And most people that you ask that work part-time jobs, a lot of them work 20 or 25 or even 30 hours a week, because most people, when they think about full-time, they think of 35 to 40 hours a week. What I always say to people is, well, how much time do you think you need? And what you're going to find out is people think they have to put in 20 or 25 hours a week. What I always say to people is, listen, if you could just invest 8 to 10 hours a week part-time, and it's the flexible schedule that you can do it, I think what you'll find is most people have an extra 8 to 10 hours a week. That's what I did when I first started. So when you look at the business, You could squeeze in 8 to 10 hours a week. Most people, I read a statistic that the average person watches between 15 and 25 hours a week of TV. And then you've got people that are on the internet, social media, and Facebook, and Instagram, and Twitter, and all this time that we waste time between TV and internet. The average person, if you look at 168 hours in a week, the average person works 40 hours. And then if you're going to spend time with your family or go to church or do whatever your extracurricular activities are, you still have an extra 8 to 10 hours a week. Now, the first 13 weeks that a person comes on board, the first 3 months, we're going to take the first 3 months and we're going to get you licensed and get you competent. So maybe for a couple weeks, you're going to need to get the licensing process out of the way, so it might be an extra 8 or 10 hours a week. But once you do that, what you're going to find is you don't have to put as much time into Primerica as you think you do. The thing you've got to do is invest your time properly. And if you could afford to put 8 to 10 hours a week in part-time and learn an extra business and learn more about who we are and what we do and get that education behind you, you'll find that the time you'll invest will be worth it on your end once you understand who we are and what we do fully. When people say to you, do I have to recruit people? Then what they're really saying is, I don't understand what you do. Why would you not want to recruit people? The first thing I saw when I sat in my opportunity meeting was an opportunity where I could build a company within a company. The recruiting process was really what all companies recruit. All growing companies, the military, college, all growing corporations recruit people. See, what they're saying is, when they say that is, I don't understand what you do. Think about it this way. If you owned a gas station and you pumped gas and you were self-employed and you pumped gas, there's only so many people you could talk to and pump their gas in one day, because we have a limited amount of time. We got 24 hours in our day. What recruiting does is recruiting creates leverage. Think about it for a second. If you had more people coming into your gas station you can handle, you'd have to recruit people. If you owned a restaurant or you owned a store and you had more business than you can handle, you'd have to recruit people. The two things I saw in the opportunity meeting that motivated me when I first looked at Primerica were the two O's: the ownership and the overrides. To own your own business and to override people, you've got to recruit people. So when people say, they make that face, is this one of those things where I have to recruit people? Yeah, it's a business. This is a business, right? Now think about it for a second. I always say, when they say that to me, and that's an objection or concern they have in their mind, I say, listen, if I took 1,000 people and I put 1,000 people underneath you, think about it for a second. We're used to selling or being sold something because we buy gas, we buy clothes, we buy food. We're used to that process. Recruiting is a sales process. It's getting people involved in something that benefits them. And sometimes there's people in our business that like the sales part of our business, but they don't understand the recruiting process. Recruiting is a sales process. Think about it. If somebody has a CD or a guaranteed account, you could show them how to go from a CD to a mutual fund. That's a sales. You could teach someone how to go from cash value or whole life insurance to buy term and invest the difference. You could teach someone how to get out of debt by putting together a debt elimination program. Well, a recruiting process is the same way. You're changing somebody's point of view and you're adding value. Sometimes people say, well, this sounds like a pyramid, or is this a pyramid? And I try not to laugh, but I always say, well, I ask them a question back, what's a pyramid? You mean like in Egypt? And see, what happens is sometimes when people say that, what they're really trying to say is this one of those things where you kind of recruit and build people. So I will say, you mean something where you get people to invest money? The people say, well, this is one of those things where you recruit people and everybody puts up money. First of all, those are illegal, okay? This is not a pyramid, this is a leverage marketing business. We're in a financial services business. You see, when you think about the opportunity, most corporations are structured like a pyramid. All the room to recruit is at the bottom, and there's no room to grow to the top. Think about the average corporation. The average corporation has one CEO. They have a CEO, and they've got a president, some vice presidents, some regional vice presidents, they got some managers, and they got some employees, and it's structured like a pyramid. I always make a joke out of this, but think about the Catholic religion. You've got one pope, and then you've got bishops and cardinals and priests. Is the Catholic religion a pyramid? What's the chances of you becoming the Pope? See, when I looked at our business, I was a plumber and I taught a karate school. And when I sat in my meeting, I heard somebody say, we have a financial interest in you. All the room is at the top. We want to produce vice presidents. And I looked at that as a shot where I could build my own company within a company. Where I used to work, the chances of me owning my company, taking over that company was slim to none. So if you understood this system, how awesome is it that we can go recruit people that have the same exact opportunity that you and I have? Sometimes people say to you, could you tell me more? Or I've got a lot of questions I need the answers to. And I always say, I'd rather not tell you, I'd rather show you. You see, I think our business is a show me business, not a tell me business. I think sometimes when people sit in a business briefing, we give them a lot of information in a short period of time. What I like to do is sit back down with somebody and show them what we do, pretend that they're a client and show them the value of what we provide. Because I think if people understood fully what we do, they're as good as it sounds. Like, as great as what we do for people is, it's better when you get a chance to learn more about it. As good as the opportunity sounds to make income, I think once you understand more about our business, it's better than we talk about. So I'll never forget, because I used to ask the person that was training me, how long should the interview process take? Like, is it 30 minutes? Is it 45 minutes? Is it an hour? Because I used to do a one-on-one interview to give people more information and then really to get them started. And so I said one time, how long should the one-on-one interview take? And I'll never forget, my regional vice president said to me, well, it depends. It takes between 8 and 10. I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, 8 to 10 minutes? I'm spending 45 minutes. He goes, 8 to 10 hours? He goes, no, 8 to 10 years. I said, 8 to 10 years? He said, I'm still doing your interview. Now, it doesn't take 8 to 10 years to do an interview, but it takes a while to fully understand who we are and what we do. Folks, I was part-time in this business for 4 years. It took me 4 years to quit my job. It took me 4 years to come and make a career change in this business because it took me that time. The greatest thing about our business is everybody goes at their own pace. And one of the things that you and I have an opportunity to do is we could keep our full-time job and do this and subsidize our income, and you go at your own pace. You know, what I always say to people is, listen, if I'm wasting your time, I'm wasting my time. I'm not gonna waste your time. We make thousands of dollars a day right now. And if every hour or two I spend with you, I can either spend my time, I can invest my time, or waste my time. I'm not gonna waste your time or mine. Take the time to understand more about who we are and what we do. When someone says to you, do I have to go to every meeting? Do I have to come to every meeting? You know, I asked that early on too, because I remember sitting through a bunch of meetings and I said, do I have to come to every meeting? And then Joe Enser, the guy who trained us, said early on, he said, there's only 2 meetings you have to come to if you want to become successful, only 2. So I was like, oh, that's great. He goes, the meetings you want to come to and the meetings you don't want to come to. the meetings that you think you need and the meetings you don't think you need. He said what you're doing by coming to meetings is you're feeding your mind. You're learning the process. You're absorbing information. He said it's like taking a college class. If you're going to take a 12 or 13 week college class and you miss 9 out of the 12 classes, you're not going to get the same value. You know, if you're going to invest time and energy, you got to learn more about what we're doing. He said the only meeting that's very important, the most important meeting is just one. That's the next meeting. See, you've got to put somewhere between 300 to 350 hours, in my belief, 300 to 350 hours of sitting through meetings so you can understand who we are and what we do. And I think if you take the time to come to meetings, what you'll realize is you're feeding your mind, just like you've got to feed your body, right? You eat every day. You've got to feed your body every day. Now, if you miss a meal or two, you might get a little bit of a headache, but it's not going to affect you. But think about when you're a baby. Think about an infant. If an infant misses a meal for a day or two, that's going to have a huge impact on that little child's life. So not that we're babies, but when we're new in the business, it's very, very critical. You want to come to as many meetings as you can and come to the 1 or 2 meetings a week so you can invest some time and energy and learn the process. One of the questions you get sometimes is how much money are you making or how are you doing at this? And what's amazing is when I first got involved in the business, I wasn't licensed for the first couple months. And so people used to ask me that all the time. But the real answer when someone asks you that is you just be upfront and you be honest. Always be honest, right? And the fact is I'm in a training program right now. And I always use an analogy that I give an example to. You know, the average person who goes to school for 4 years to get a 4-year degree goes to school for 4 or 5 years usually. But if you go to school to get a 4-year degree, how much money are you making while you're in college? How much money are you making when you're taking a class? You're not. You're investing time in the process. So when someone says how much money you make, and if you're not licensed yet, you say, listen, I'm in a training program on a part-time basis because that's what some of the people in my office are doing. Or you could say I'm working directly with a regional vice president. When I joined, my regional vice president made 6 figures. So I would say, hey, I'm just coming through the licensing process right now, but I'm working directly with a regional vice president that has me on a game plan to get promoted to vice president. He's making or she's making a strong 6-figure income, and that's where my potential can be in the future. But more importantly is not what I make, it's how you can do. Would you want to hear more about it? Sometimes people say to you, can I take the paperwork home or can I take the IBA home? And I say, why would you want to take the paperwork home? Why would you want to take the IBA home? So you can read it? Why don't you just read it while you're here? See, let me explain to you what you're filling out. You're filling out an IBA, an independent business agreement. You become an independent agent with our company. Since 1987, since I've joined here, I've never had anybody take home the paperwork. And by the way, most of the time when people say, I want to take the paperwork home, those are people that are trying to make an excuse of why this is not for them because they have fear. I've been doing this a long time. I realize that our independent business agreement is paperwork for the company to gather information for us so that they can get us licensed in the state and put us on their system. See, if you have a house, right, and you hire a landscaper, they send you an agreement that if they do your lawn, you pay them this. I used to live in the Northeast where it snowed, and I had every year to have to sign an agreement with the guy that snow plowed my property. He would sign me he would send me an agreement. I would fill it out, and I would say, if every time he plows my snow, I pay him a certain fee. That's what it is. You're an independent agent. So really what you're saying is you want to take it home. What you're really saying is I need to get some more information, because if you need to read it, why don't we fill it out, get you started, and then you can read it and take it home. But since I've been here, I've never read the whole agreement because the agreement is an independent business agreement. It has nothing to do with a contract with the company. Hey, when someone says, I want to do my own research, I always say, well, what kind of research are you going to do? You know, a lot of times people say, I'm going to do my own research, and then they go home and they Google Primerica. And what they really do is they get online and they look at information that really doesn't have any base on it. You know, because you can go online and you could post something, or you could blog something about our business. And so what I say to people is, if you want to do your research, make sure you gather information from the right sources. As an example, look at the history. You know, when you look at our business, think about all the companies and the attorneys and the industries that researched our company before they came on board or put an agreement together with us. Think about it this way. Our company was founded in 1977, and the name of our company was A.L. Williams. And A.L. Williams was merged, was taken over, was purchased by a company by the name of Primerica Corporation. So we were Primerica Corporation, we were a division of Primerica, we became Primerica Financial Services. And then Primerica Corporation years later merged with Travelers Insurance, and Travelers Insurance became Travelers Group. And then we were a subsidiary of Travelers Group. And then Travelers Group and Citibank merged, which became Citigroup, which built this huge company, and we were a division of Citigroup. And in 2010, we took our company public. We did an IPO, initial public offering, which became very successful. And before people looked at our company and invested in our company and took our company public, don't you think people did research? You know, you think about it this way. We have insurance licenses. We sit down with people and educate people on how their insurance policies work. Do you think the state that you live in would issue an insurance license if they didn't check us out? You think FINRA would issue us securities licenses in all the areas we do business? See, when I look at our business, I think the thing that we've got to do is, if you want to do research, then your goal should be to set up a time to get back together with one of the leaders in the office. We call it a one-on-one interview. We get together where there's not 20 or 30 people around. We ask questions and answer questions. Go look at Primerica's annual report. Go look at all the resources that we have available. Set up a time to get back and go back to the office and sit through a follow-up meeting or a training meeting. I think if you really take the time to do the research and understand who we are and what we do, it's better than we talk about. When someone says, is this commission or salary? What I always ask them is, I ask them the question back, well, do you like commission or do you like salary? Which would you prefer? And what you'll find is people that are more educated about business and people that are entrepreneurs, they would love to be in a commission-based business. People that have a job and aren't as sophisticated about being in business would rather have a salary. When I first got involved in this business, I would have never wanted to be in a commission-based business because I didn't have enough information. I wasn't educated on it. And so let me give you an example. When I was making $70,000 a year back in 1987, I was a 22-year-old kid. $70,000 was a lot of money back then. And if you would have said to me, I'll guarantee you a $100,000 position. If you could become a vice president, we'll guarantee you a $100,000 income. I would have signed that contract the first night of my opportunity meeting because that's what I thought was a lot of money back then. If that would have been the case, we would have given up millions and millions of dollars over the last years that we've been here. And so the thing that you've got to understand is when people say that, what they're doing is they're not understanding the value. What they're asking you is, I want something guaranteed. I want something secure. What people don't realize is a job is not as secure as people think it is. A lot of times people say, well, I have a good job. To me, good job is like an oxymoron. It's like jumbo shrimp. There's no such thing as a good job because a good job, you can get fired from a good job. Since I've been in this business, I've seen so many great people get downsized or right-sized or job forward or fired. And so the only true security is if you have control over it. And so to me, having a financial interest in people that have a financial interest in people is security. By producing regional vice presidents that you override, okay? To me, that's security. So when I look at our business and I see an opportunity where we can produce regional vice presidents and build a company within a company, that's true security. So when people ask, is this commission or is this salary, then what they really need is they need an education on what makes more sense for them long range. When someone says, I'm too busy, or I don't have the time, I'm too busy, I can't schedule, what happens when people say that they're too busy, that's a good thing. You see, I look at people that are too busy, that just means they have a lot on their plate because they're trying to cram a lot into a little. Maybe they're ambitious, they're motivated. When I first looked at Primerica, I was too busy. I worked 70, 80 hours a week. So I didn't have a lot of time, but I did have enough time to learn about how to build my own business and how instead of investing time building someone else's company, how to build my own company. And so when someone says, I can't make it on Tuesday night because I've got a crazy schedule, I always use an analogy or an example. Hey, listen, if you won the lottery and you had a winning lottery ticket and you could pick up the money on Tuesday night, could you make it then? And you'll always find, of course you can make it. See if there's value. When someone says, well, I'm too busy, I've got a crazy schedule, the thing that we've got to do is we've got to rearrange it. See, when we join the business, we already have our routine down. Well, when I started, I had a routine, but they said we have meetings on Wednesday night and Saturday morning. We have meetings on Tuesday night or Friday night. I had to rearrange or adapt my schedule. Just like if you were going to take a college class, you'd have to adapt your schedule to that course. The college is not going to adapt that course to your schedule. So you've got to be a little bit more flexible. And what you'll find is you can rearrange it. Now, if you're taking a college class right now and your next semester ends in a month or two, then you rearrange your schedule at that point. But if you're able to put 8 to 10 hours a week in, you can find time to free that up. And let me kind of give you an example. Sometimes I'll sit down with people and they say, well, I work nights. Well, if you went to your boss and said, hey, could I take off on a Tuesday and a Saturday because I need to take a class for my education? Most of the time, your boss would understand and rearrange that. Now, they might think you're taking a college class. You don't lie, but maybe you leave some stuff out. As an example, I took a class. I went to training classes twice a week when I got involved in a business. So we've got to rearrange our schedule. You know, I always say, if you're going to invest time and energy and you work hard at a job, you can make a living. But if you work hard at a business, you work hard on self-improvement and working on yourself and putting time into getting better, you can make a fortune. And I think when you look at it right now, how many hours a week you need to put in, you know, you need to put around 8 to 10 hours a week in. So what I always say, give this thing 30 days, give this thing 60 days, and after 60 days, we'll rearrange your schedule based upon the value. If you think you can get more value out, then we put more time in. The great thing about our business is the flexibility. Sometimes people say to you, this is not for me. And when someone says that, or I'm not interested, this is not for me, I don't think I could do this thing. And what I always say to people is, how do you know if you can do this, whether you do it or not? It's like my kids, you know, sometimes my kids will say, you know, we'll go out for sushi. And the first time we had sushi, my daughter says, oh, Dad, I don't like sushi. I said, well, you've never had it. How do you know if you like it or not? Why don't you try it? If you don't like it, you spit it out. Spit it out on your brother if you want, all right? But if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it again. But I want you to try it because the only way to see if this is really for you or not is by trying it. So what I say to people when they look at our business, I don't know if this is for me. I don't think I could do it. I don't know if you could do it either. Why don't you do this? why don't you give this thing 30 to 60 days? Give it 30 to 60 days, put in a few hours a week, learn more about who we are and what we do. This way you feel comfortable. See, if you want to learn to swim, you don't watch a video. You don't go to a movies and watch people swim. You don't watch the Olympics and that's going to teach you how to swim. The only way to learn to swim is by getting in the pool and getting wet. So I tell people all the time, I don't know if it's for you and I don't know if you can do this or not. I know you can, but I don't know if you think you can do it or not. Why don't you do this? Why don't you give this thing 30 to 60 days? And let me tell you what happens after 30 to 60 days. First thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a great education on how money works. You'll learn how to put your financial house in order, how to put yourself in a position to save money towards retirement, how to learn how to have money working for you so it doesn't work against you. You'll get a great education on money. Second thing you're going to do is you're going to help some people. When I first looked at this business, none of what motivated me was the fact that we helped people. I looked at it as I wanted to make some income. The only person I wanted to help in the beginning was me. And after I was here a couple weeks, we went out and did some appointments and I read, hey man, we saved these people some money. Hey, we added value. We put a financial game plan. And what motivates me today is the helping people part. And then the third thing that's going to happen is you're going to make some additional income. While you're coming through the licensing process, you're going to go out there and you get licensed and you sit down with some people and you add value. Every time you help somebody, you get paid. So why not make some additional income and then base a decision on information versus theory? So the worst case scenario is if you come on board, you get a great education, you help some people, and you make some money. Let's take the time to learn more about who we are and what we do, and the opportunity is incredible. One of the objections that we get sometimes or areas of concern is when people but you there. Oh yeah, but you don't understand, but my situation is a little different. Don't be a butthead, right? Don't but it. See, when you look at that, what I find sometimes is people use that for their religious beliefs or they use that for their ethnic background. Like I'll sit down with people and I'll say, this is what we do. You're either going to bring people to come see us so we can show them who we are and what we do, or you're going to bring us to go see people. You're going to bring people to come see us in our opportunity meetings, in our business briefings, or we're going to go sit down across the kitchen table and show people what we do. And you want to help your friends and your family, but a lot of times people say, we don't understand, Keith. Well, I'm Greek. And you don't understand how the Greeks are. And I go, oh, I forgot you're Greek. The Greeks are very Greek, right? Or I'm Chinese, or I'm Filipino, or I'm Italian. I go, oh yeah, I know how the Italians are very Italian, right? Or I'm Jewish, and we at the Jewish, see, it doesn't matter what your background is. We're all human beings. And everybody wants to protect their assets. Everybody wants to get more value. Nobody wants to get taken advantage of. People go, you don't understand, but in my culture, we're a little skeptical. Everybody's skeptical. The thing that we've got to do is understand when we sit down with people, we add value. So if a person comes down to the business briefing, they're not going to join the first night. Now, they might fill out paperwork, but it's got to be autographed and approved by the vice president. So really, they're not joining the first night, so they don't have to base a decision. Other times we sit down with a person, we don't do business on the first night. Now, we might gather some information to see if somebody qualifies for income protection. We might start the process. But one of the things that I do when we sit down with them, we say, we're not here to say anything the first night. If you like what you see, invite us back. So what I think is when people join Primerica sometimes, we have to stop becoming mind readers. You know, we join and go, I know people that are interested. Like when I put my list together early on, I put a list. I know these people are people I wanted to recruit, and these are people I wanted to sell. These are people I knew would be interested, and people that wouldn't. How do you know? Don't become a mind reader. The thing you've got and I have to do is we've got to expose people to who we are and what we do, and if people are interested, they'll take action. One of the questions you're going to get sometimes is, do I have to buy a product? You don't have to buy anything when you come on board with Primerica. There's no requirements. There's no monthly minimums. You have to buy something on a monthly basis. But the real question I think you need to ask yourself is, can I buy a product? Or when can you sit down with me? When can you put together a financial game plan? I remember in 1987, I sat through my business briefing. I was 22 years old, and I got a little lost with some of the things that we did because it's a lot of information in a short period of time. But the first thing I said as soon as I walked to that meeting is, hey, when can you set up a mutual fund for me? Because I heard professional money management. I heard investing versus saving, and I wanted to have a financial plan, a financial game plan. And that's why every time I close out a meeting, I say, if you knew what I knew, you do what I do. It's not because I know a lot, but we've been exposed to a lot of things. You don't have to own anything to come on board. You don't have to buy anything, but you'll want to take advantage of the concepts. What you really should be asking us is, hey, how soon can I get a financial needs analysis done? Or when can you invest some time to sit down with me and my family and show us what you do? You know, I think in order to be convincing, you have to be convinced. And so one of the things that I said early on is if I'm training somebody in the field, they don't have to own a product. But think about this. If I take someone out in a field training sale and we're showing them what we do and they say, well, do you have a mutual fund? Oh, no, I don't own a mutual fund. Do you have income protection? I don't own any of that. I just think what you should do is you should invest in things you need, not things you don't need. If you don't need income protection, you don't get that. But as a person right now who's married and has 2 children, I've got a family, I own every single product that the company offers that I need. Now picture this. Picture you going to buy a car and a guy's selling Mercedes-Benz, but he's driving a BMW. You're not going to really put a lot of faith into what he's saying, because if a Mercedes-Benz is so good, why isn't he driving one? If a Chevy is so good, why are they not driving a Chevy? A lot of times when I go to a restaurant, I'll say to the waitress, what do you like on the menu? I feel like having fish. Do you like fish? Oh, I don't eat fish. Then I'm not going to take her recommendation. I just think one of the things that's so great about our business is you could put your own financial house in order, and then you could show people how to do what you do for your own family, and that's value. Hey, sometimes you'll sit down with people and they'll say, hey, I did some research on the internet. And it always scares me a little bit too, because what kind of research did you do? You know, I Googled your company. So if you Googled our company, you'll understand how big and how much value we provide. But if you go on some blog where some knucklehead sitting in his room at 4 o'clock in the morning blogging about a meeting he might have sat to, or someone tried to recruit him, he doesn't know anything about our business. The only challenge with the internet is you got to be careful some of the information you're going to get. But if you wanted to go on and you wanted to look up PRI, which is our company symbol, or you wanted to read the annual report, when I got involved in the business, there wasn't internet back in 1987. It wasn't something to Google. There was no Facebook. So what I did is I went to the library and I researched not so much who we were as a company as much as what I researched, what we did for people. And then you think about the mutual fund companies that we represent today, and you think about the insurance companies we represent, all the value we provide. You know, when you sit down, I read a book called The Games and Scams of Cash Value Life Insurance. I read a book, How Your Life Insurance Policies Rob You. And I went and did a lot of research on our company to realize that you can make sure you've got to get credible information. You know, like, I believe in God. Some of you believe in God. If you Google God, some people say there is a God, some people say there isn't a God. Who's right? If you Google Coca-Cola or Disney, you know, you'll see that there's problems that people have with that company. It doesn't make them bad companies. That's people's opinion. What I don't want is, I don't want people's opinion. I want you to base a decision on facts. Gather information, gather the facts, and take the time to understand who we are and what we do, and you'll definitely want to come on board and work with us. Sometimes people say to you, well, I don't want to switch my policy. I've been with this company for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. I'll say, well, let me ask you a question. What have they done for you? The only thing they've done for you is they've cashed your check. You haven't died, right? They haven't paid a claim. They haven't added any benefit in your life except they've cashed your check. You've had protection. So you've had protection for 10 or 15 or 20 years, which is awesome. Let me ask you this question. If you had auto insurance for the last 10 years, and I could show you savings going forward, and I could add value and give you a better program, or save you a bunch of money, give you a better plan, even though you've had auto insurance for 10 years, why don't you look at it as, I've had it for 10 years, I've protected my family, but going forward, wouldn't it make sense to save money and add value? So even though that you've had that policy for 10 years, if I could have sat down with you 10 years ago, I could have saved you money. The next best time to save money is not 10 years ago, it's right now, it's today. So why don't we put together a program that adds more value, and if I could show you something that's better in each and every way, wouldn't it make sense to switch? When people say, I'm not interested, or sometimes people walk out of an opportunity meeting and go, oh, this is not for me, I always ask them a question back and say, what aren't you interested in? What you're saying is, I don't know what you do, and I don't know if I can do it. But let's be realistic. If you could help people financially, why would you not be interested? You see, if you look at our business, there's only two reasons people don't join our business. One is if they're totally satisfied with where they're at financially, or they totally love what they're doing for a living. And most of the people you'll find don't have a lot of job security. They're not totally satisfied with what they're doing, and most people can make extra income. So when someone says, I'm not interested, that should just be a warning that pops up that says to you, hey, listen, I got to get back together with this person, and I got to give them more information. Because if you totally and fully understood what we did, you'd want to come on board and work with us. When someone says, where do you find your clients, or where do you get your clients? What they're really saying is, in the back of their mind, like a lot of people think, the objection is, what if I run out of people? You know, I've been doing this since 1987. I've never made a cold call. I've never knocked on doors. I've never put an ad in the paper. I never ran up to people I don't know and say, scared them and try to get their names. What I built our whole personal business by is through referrals, actually warm referrals. And what you're gonna find is people know people. I read a statistic one time, it said that the average 30-year-old person knows 1,100 people. Now, you don't know 1,100 people. If you have a party at your house, you're not gonna have 1,100 people show up. Think about all the people you send holiday cards to. If you just had a baby, who are the first 10 or 15 or 20 people you would call if you just had a birth in your family? Or if you were gonna have an anniversary or a party, who would you invite? See, people know people. Think about today, people on Facebook. I have these young kids that come on board in our business now, or even people in their 30s and 40s and 50s that have 300, 400, 500,000 people on Facebook. I talked to someone the other day, 2,600 friends on Facebook. Think about, on a cell phone, if you opened up your cell phone, people have hundreds of names on their cell phone. People know people. And I think what you're gonna find is when people come on board, where you meet people, I always say, if you took our office in New York City, let's just say, and you drew a 90-mile circle around that office, there's 46 million people. People say, who do I talk to? I always say, any of them. If you think about it, people will lead you to people. One of the things that we have people do is put together a list of people that they know. Well, there's two credibilities. There's personal credibility, which are the people that you have credibility with, and then there's your financial credibility, which the company provides the systems in place. So what we do is we marry up and match the financial credibility credibility from Primerica and the personal credibility of people you know, and then we teach you how to put that list and turn that list of 25 into 2,500 and 25,000, and you can build that through referrals. And so it's really unlimited potential. You know, I recruited my brother years ago, back in 1987, and years later, to this day, we're still recruiting people. There was people that weren't even born in 1987 through referrals and people leading you to people. So who do you talk to, or where do you find clients? Everybody needs what we do. Everybody needs to get out of debt. Everybody needs to protect their assets. Everybody needs to get a better rate of return, and everybody needs a financial game plan. When someone says, I don't have the $99, you know, the first thing I say is, whatever you're doing is not working then. Now think about it for a second. When they say I don't have the $99, what they're saying is, I don't see the value in what you're providing. You know, when I first got involved in the business, if I wanted to make extra income, I realized I had to get a license. And back when I started, back in 1987, the company didn't subsidize or didn't pay for any parts of the licensing. We had to pay for it all on ourselves. I paid almost $700 to get my life license. I paid almost $450 to get my securities license. Now what happens is a new associate comes on board and their initial investment is $99, and then the company pays the difference on their behalf. And I think what happens is, you know, you look at that, a lot of times people think, well, you just want my $99. I tell people, listen, if you recruit on board, I don't make any money from the $99. Like, I don't get 90 and the person invited you down gets 9, and that's how we pay our bills and put gas in our car. You know, if you think about the system, right? And you think about the $99 investment. If you were going to go get a driver's license, who pays for that license? If you were going to get a marriage license, who pays for that license? If you were going to go get a real estate license, who pays for that license? You do. What happens is Primerica has a system where they can actually reimburse you or offset the cost of your license. And if you ever left the company, that's your license. It's an individual producer's license. You take that with you. So when someone says, I don't have the $99, I always kid around with it, but I'm saying, listen, whatever you're doing is not working. Like, the horse is dead, dismount. Think about it. I was 22 years old, making 70 grand a year, and I didn't have an extra $99. But if you said to me, hey, I'll get you a brand new Bentley for 99 bucks, then I had $99. If you said I could take my family on vacation to Hawaii for 2 weeks for 99 bucks, then I'd have $99. If you said, I'll get you a brand new house. See, what you're saying is, I don't know the value you provide right now. So the $99 is insignificant once you see the value that's provided with that $99 investment. Sometimes people say to you, is there a fee to join Primerica? You know, there's not a fee to join Primerica. There's a fee to get licensed in the state that you live in. And so what Primerica does is Primerica subsidizes that for you. There's initial investment that you have to lay out, and Primerica lays out a larger amount on your behalf. And so when you look at, is there a fee to join? I wish there was a large fee. And the reason I say this all the time is, in the real world, okay, in business, there's a fee to start a business. My wife had a nail salon. A little nail salon in New York cost my wife almost $50,000 to open up for a small little nail salon. Okay, see, I think if people had to lay a larger amount of money out, they would take more value in it. There's not a fee monetarily to join, but there is an investment. And the investment is of your time and energy. You need to put time and energy. That's your commitment. You put time and energy into this business. And what Primerica provides is Primerica provides a system, it provides a structure, and it provides a strategy for you to help us go talk to people in North America about who we are and what we do.
Oftentimes you'll hear the objection, $99, I just don't have the money. I don't have any money. When you hear that, again, we know that price is only an issue in the absence of value. When someone tells me that, all I will say to them is, look, I understand your money might be tight right now. Just off the top of your head, you don't think you can come up with $99. But let me ask you this. If I was able to get you into a brand new car and all it cost for you today was $99, would you be able to come up with the $99? Absolutely they would. If your kids were held hostage, it was $99 for them to be free, what would you tell the kidnapper? Just don't have any money? Absolutely not. You come up with that $99. Well, guess what? This business is a life-changing opportunity. Let's sit down, let's go over some more details. Let me show you all the value that $99 will bring to you and your family. I'll also talk to you about how soon we can put you in our reimbursement program so you can go and earn that $99 back and a whole lot more. I think once we sit down and take a look at everything, you'll be able to find a way to come up with the $99 because you'll see the value that it has for you and your family.
Sometimes you'll hear from people, oh, I spoke to somebody that was in Primerica, or someone will come to a meeting and then they'll come home and go, oh no, I'm not interested because I spoke to someone that took a look at your business. And I'll say, well, let me ask you a question. You spoke to somebody that was in Primerica. Were they in Primerica or they just took a look at it like you did? Like, think about it. You just sat through a meeting for an hour. How do you base a decision on an hour presentation? You don't have enough information to be interested or not. Sometimes people walk out of a meeting and go, this is unbelievable, how do I get started? And really you don't have enough information to be that excited. Also, when you say you're not interested or you spoke to someone that did, they don't have enough information. So now picture this, you came to a meeting and we never see you again, and 6 months or a year or 2 years from now, somebody says to you, oh, do you know anything about Primerica? You say, I took a look at it, that wasn't for me, or I'm not interested. See, what happens is we speak to people about our business that don't really have enough information on who we are and what we do. Like if you were gonna go to college and you wanted to get some information on maybe attending a college, would it make sense to talk to someone who went to college and dropped out in 3 days? Or would it make sense to talk to someone who graduated that college? If you wanted to learn about putting your kids in karate school, would it make sense to talk to someone about the karate school who's in the karate school or who's trained there for many years? Or would you talk to someone that joined the karate school and quit after 4 days? You see, if you want to learn more about our business, then you've got to speak to people in our business. How about people that have been here for 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years? Wouldn't it make sense to base a decision on gathering information from someone who's been here, who has experience, or someone that took a look at it for 45 minutes? See, I think if you take the time to understand more about what we do, you'll want to come on board and take action.